Hey everybody, thank you so much for stopping back by the channel. So I just wanted to do a very quick follow-up video to the one I just did about Pharaoh, victim or villain. Somebody left a comment after that video that really made me say I should have spoke about this in the video. But anyway, what the person was saying was that Pharaoh is basically the one who started the whole conflict. And this was basically like a tit for tat, because obviously Pharaoh is the one who tried to kill all of the Israelite boys, right? Most people, when they're thinking about this is why they think Pharaoh was a bad guy. They read the beginning of Exodus and see how it just says Pharaoh seeing that the Israelites were getting numerous, and so he decided to deal harshly with them and made them into slaves. And then he tells these midwives to kill every boy or throw them in the Nile River, right? And so then when you get to the Pharaoh that Moses is dealing with, it's like, because it's just called Pharaoh, you just assume that it's the same one, or you really just don't make the distinction. But obviously, the timing of it would let you know that it would be a different Pharaoh, right? Pharaoh is obviously just a title for king. So the names would be whatever their names were. The one that Moses was supposedly, dealing with the plagues was supposedly Ramses the second. So I just wanted to read this scripture real quick, just in case anybody is unfamiliar with this or didn't, this didn't click for you, that this was a different Pharaoh. Okay, so remember when Moses was grown and he seen an Egyptian beating an Israelite, he went and he killed him, and then he had to flee into Midian. Okay, and then it tells you in Exodus 2:23, during that long period, the king of Egypt died. So whatever king was on the throne at the time when Moses killed the Egyptian had died. Okay, that doesn't even mean that it's the same king that was on the throne that he originally enslaved them in the first place and tried to kill the boys, really, because they were there for hundreds of years. So you never know until you know exactly how long each of these pharaohs was on the throne. But definitely the one, definitely that it was not the same one that he was going to, as far as getting the Israelites out of slavery. So my point in bringing this up, you guys, is just to say a lot of people see Pharaoh as a bad guy because they're relating him to this, to this killing of the boys and all of that. And that wasn't him. If you think about it, he got on the throne as a pharaoh, as a king, and there were these slaves that had already been there for some years before he even got on the throne. So again, this is making my point. Why would he, as just a king that has these slaves, be so quick to give them up, just because this guy comes to him to say, our God has come to us and wants us to go worship him? It just doesn't make any sense. And one more thing, I mentioned this in there, in the other video about multiple gods, just to hone in on that thought. So when we think about the Egyptians having multiple gods, the way that people in polytheists, that they were when it came to polytheism back in the day, all of the ancients, really, not just the Egyptians, even the Israelites, like if you really do some research on this stuff. But all these cultures believed in multiple gods and had multiple gods. Okay, so when Moses would have been coming to him saying, the God of the Hebrews has got in touch with us, this is not an unheard of concept for it to be a God that, Pharaoh hadn't heard of, because there were hundreds, some would even say thousands of gods, you know? So for the way that they did things, or the way that they looked at things, is like, okay, all of these gods, these are equally, all gods, but some are more powerful than others, right? So the way that he would be looking at this was, I had never heard of this God that you're talking about, so I'm not about to move, But of course, it would have took the plagues to make him, you know, change that tune, right? But the way that we're looking at it from our vantage point is why we see it as disrespect, because we are under this impression that there's only one God, and I'm not saying if it's multiple or whatever, I'm not talking about that, but I'm saying just thinking about this, looking at it from our point of view, we're looking back thinking of the fact that there's only one true God, and all of these other gods are just devils or something, right? False gods, right? And so we are thinking of Pharaoh as, you're denying the one true God. You're not letting the one true God, his people, go. But you have to realize, you have to put yourself in the mindset of him back then. That's not how he would have been looking at this. So it really wasn't a disrespectful thing for him to be saying what he was saying. So I just wanted to reiterate that point. And then lastly, you guys, have you ever really looked into how long the Israelites were actually in Egypt? There was a video that I had found, probably about 4 years ago, something like that. And this guy really breaks down how long they were actually there according to Bible chronology, okay? It's not about, just opinion. Like, the way he breaks this down, it's almost like you really can't dispute it. So I'm gonna put that video in the description. It's only about like 12 minutes. And I just want to say, I don't believe all of the stuff that he's talking about in there, but the amount of time that he talks about is definitely not 430 years, and it's just like, it's impossible for it to be 430 years. And you'll see, if you're curious to see, what that's all about. But pretty much that's all I wanted to talk about, you guys. I will be seeing you soon on my next video. And I thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care.